Happy New Year, everybody. I'm going to share my New Year's resolution with you all in this episode. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've learned over this Christmas break.
Oh man, that's rubbish! That's rubbish!
I ran into a cool interview, Larry King and Norm Macdonald. Norm's in my Mount Rushmore. And evidently, I didn't know this, but Norm Macdonald was graduated high school at 15. He's a super high IQ, incredibly smart man, academically and in many other ways, but sort of acted like he was dumb. And he said on the Larry King show, you don't want the audience to think that you think you're smarter than them. And so he intentionally dumbed himself down. You could tell with his sort of style, delivery, etc. And I got to thinking about that. And obviously there are comedians that don't do that, who are very effective. You know, Seth Meyers, Dennis Miller, Bill Maher. But Norm Macdonald thought Bill Maher he hated him. Anyway, I thought it made me want to explore getting dumber. I watched Nate Bargatze's new special, which I highly recommend. He does it so well. I mean, his entire attitude, the whole show is, I'm stupid. Look how stupid I am. Look at how much I don't know. And I think that's kind of fun. I have played, I used to get hired a lot, acting-wise, to play dumb people. And so I like being dumb. And I think I am dumb in many ways. I remember taking an aptitude test to figure out, what I was supposed to be good at. It was like what a parent does when their child is kind of directionless, I think, and they're worried about him. And so I went and took one of these 4-hour tests where they test musical ability and deductive reasoning. And I scored pretty, I was fine in every area except deductive reasoning, in which I scored incredibly low. And I remember thinking wow, this test is really awful. I've just created an insecurity for the rest of my life that I have no deductive reasoning skills. And then there was this blurb in the test that deductive reasoning was the most important thing in life. And it was the most correlated skill, or aptitude for success. And so it's wow, what an incredible test, right? You go in there to figure out what you're good at, and you find out that it's going to be a terrible uphill battle. In my defense, the deductive reasoning, part of the test was all about, it was what sentence doesn't belong here? And those kind of sentences, I get so caught up in, look, I'm not going to make excuses. I think my deductive reasoning skills are pretty shit. But it's only because I'm so creative. No, I don't know. As a side note, the highest I scored was music, tones and being able to identify melodies and instruments. And it's a highly sensitive ear, which also doesn't make a ton of sense. I think this test was garbage. But anyway, at least it was expensive, and at least it gave me crippling insecurity for the rest of my life. Anyway, this is a digression, but exploring being dumber on stage, or at least there's something very effective about a bewildered stand-up who's just what is going on? And then I what? Huh? What? It's and she was I was what? And I was what are you doing? And I was what are you doing? What are you doing? It's funny. There's an exercise where you without words, you just play the attitude. So as I've mentioned in previous episodes, there's sort of these 4 major attitudes that almost every effective stand-up will embody as they do their bits. And it's isn't it weird? Isn't it scary? Isn't it hard? And isn't it stupid? So hard is just like, oh man, dude. And then I go, fucking DMV, and I just like, oh. And then scary is like, and I'm like, what are you doing? I don't even know. And then stupid is like, what are you gonna do? Hey, what are you doing? Like Sebastian Maniscalco? What? Sebastian. His whole thing is basically, what the fuck's going on with fucking Amazon? What's up, Bezos? I'll put another box on my porch. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? That's my pretty bad Sebastian Maniscalco impression. So his whole thing, attitude is like, isn't it stupid? And then I've done scary, stupid, hard, and weird. And weird's like, I know, what? Oh, I can say it. And you may think that's really ridiculous what I'm doing right now, but that is actually an exercise in these classes, is to basically remove words and just embody the attitude. And a lot of times, if you're not getting laughs, they say, like, listen to the tape and make sure that is the attitude clear. And I have noticed, like, and it's the same with acting on stage or in film and TV. It's like, if you're feeling it, it's almost like the people aren't laughing at the jokes. They're laughing at how much you're feeling what you're saying. Of course, there are very dry comics, but it's that combination of feeling it in words. So anyway, this is all to say I think I'm going to explore being stupid. Yeah. So happy New Year's, everybody. 2025. Be a wild ride. Here's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to share it with you. It's a single resolution. Here we go. Is this true? Is what I'm saying true? Yes. That's it. That's my New Year's resolution. All truth. As close as I can get it all the time. My mindfulness of cocaine, 5 minutes. I did a mindfulness cocaine. I transcribed it. I put it into the Claude, and I said, help me make this tighter and funnier. And then I read what that AI came up with. I don't think there was a couple jokes in there that were mine. Most of that was AI. And listening back, definitely the funniest thing I've done. Or like the concept, I think, is obviously mine, but the jokes were not. And AI is going to this is the worst it's ever going to be right now. And when I do rants and I ask it to put it together into a tighter stand-up set, it is very good at it. It's very good at getting the setups. Its jokes are okay. If I did it for you, if I read you the full AI version of my rants, it would definitely feel like stand-up. And it would feel like, oh, wow, he's making progress. The jokes were kind of, there's some good ones in there, They're good. Okay, so now we're in a situation where AI can basically take the loose ramblings of my mind and make a decent stand-up set. Now, that feels very similar to what a lot of stand-ups do, is get help from writers. So it's like when you have a comedy buddy, you go through it and they help. They're like, what about here? What about here? And they're helping you with your jokes. So what's the difference between that and an AI doing it for you? Obviously, you're going to tweak and come up with it. But is this immoral? Is this plagiarizing? Is this me? And ultimately, almost every rant I've been doing it, and I don't. It feels wrong to skip the step, and it's happening with all people. I look at my children, who it's very important to me that they learn how to write well. I think it's a superpower, but is it still going to need to be? If you can just basically blurt out into a voice recorder just your garbled thoughts and say, please help me make this coherent and organized and make the sentences punchy and, contrarian. You can ask it to do anything and it will just spit it out, and it will only get better and better and better. So do my kids need to learn how to write? I always thought the belief is that if you learning how to write, it's really learning how to think. You can't figure out what you actually think until you write it down and you see the words. And that's why Twitter or X, I love it so much, is that the minute you go down to write, you're like, ooh, that doesn't sound right. Like, I'm not saying what I actually mean. And then you have to take the time and you have to edit, and then you're like, yes, that is what I mean. And then it's like a discovery. Writing helps you discover what you really think, and that's part of the reason I love stand-up so much, or I'm fascinated by it. I don't love it yet because I'm drawn to it, but I haven't had an experience, sort of, for the surfing metaphor. Like, I haven't caught the wave where I'm just like, holy shit, I'm in. But I've made a commitment to myself, and I believe, and I'm sticking with it because there's a wisdom inside that says this is a path. This is the right path. There is an adventure, a deep, many-layered adventure ahead of you if you stick with it and you continue to do the hard thing. And I believe it very deeply, despite the tremendous amount of doubt and resistance that arises throughout the process. So my New Year's resolution, to review, is just really to be really honest with myself. There's sneaky ways that we lie as we talk every day. We're all lying in many ways, many little ways. I think there's a tremendous adventure and power by being able to catch yourself. I can feel it. Sometimes I'll start writing. I wonder why this is so hard, and I realize I'm like doing something for someone else as opposed to just really getting in there. What do you actually think, dude? What is true? What do you know? And what he quickly realizes, I don't know anything, but I do know what the thoughts are that are coming up, and I do know how I feel about it, and that's ultimately all you can really say. So, how do I feel about this AI thing? It feels disingenuous. It feels scary. It feels exciting. It feels like a shortcut. It feels incredibly helpful. It feels like a superpower to be able to have. It will shorten the amount of time it takes to develop material to just be able to put it in and say, help me with the setups, tighten these setups. And I've scoured the internet on the Reddit stand-up subreddit, which has hundreds of thousands of people. No one's talking about AI yet with stand-up. And stand-up is bad. It's all dad jokes. AI is bad. It's all dad jokes. If you do it, it's not very good at humor. But if you take your original stuff and you ask it to just help you out, it's pretty amazing. And I encourage you to try it. Just voice record, some stand-up bit you have or some idea. And that's what's cool. I think people who are listening to this are starting to, there's a little tickle. It's like everyone can do it. Everyone can go up and try to make people laugh, And I will say, like, the beauty of it all is, like, these open mics is, like, no one's funny. No one's funny. So it's like almost the stakes feel so high, and everyone talks about, how ballsy it is. But in a weird way, and I'm not saying it isn't, but in a weird way, it's like, I think it's way more ballsy to, like, do your second hour after your first good one, or it's like the second album after your hit album. It's just like that. Oh God, it's like the expectations now are so high. How do I deliver and get even better? That to me is the ultimate balls. The respect I have for all artists who kind of continue to deliver under the pressure of fame and fan expectation. Just mind-blowing. I watched the Avicii documentary on Netflix today. It's New Year's Day, by the way. Happy New Year's, everybody. And, man, it was so sad. But I highly recommend it. But just the pressure, the head fuck of fame, especially at a young age. Poor kid. That anxiety, man. I mean, the amount of anxiety that fame for a sensitive soul, and that great paradox that's like so much of the good art is coming from, like, profoundly sensitive people. And how on earth do you handle the colossal head fuck and avalanche of energy that adulation and expectation and fame has on you while being sensitive. So of course they're all doing drugs and masking their pain. Of course you'd be doing the exact same fucking thing. So sad. R.I.P. Avicii. What a beautiful documentary. Highly recommend. Anyway, I didn't want to ramble too much. A reflective New Year's episode. Really excited for the year ahead. Appreciate all the support I've been getting from various friends, and you know who you are, and some strangers. And I wish you all an incredible 2025. Let's go get it. Wishing you so much love, adventure, joy, peace, fun in the year ahead. And of course, just tons of skin-on-skin contact, venery throughout it all. Lots of love.